ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's a reference to a biological problem in a child's brain that the neurochemical transmissions are not functioning smoothly. So you have the neuron where the electrical charge goes in the brain, and then there's a synapse in the middle where the space is, and that space doesn't have what it needs in order to pass on the impulse effectively. And that's why medications work, because you're stimulating that space in some cases. And so that's helpful. I'm not I don't have an opinion really about medication. That's not the kind of doctor I am. And we can use biological solutions to help with biological challenges, but we can also use heart-based solutions. And the work we do is very, very significant and powerful with children who have ADHD, whether on medication or not. So, and I want to tell you a little bit more about what we do to help these children make some significant changes in their lives, because what we're doing is we're focusing on the heart, on character development. And this character development, I want to focus on one particular character quality in particular. There are a number of them that we work on, but one that has a huge effect, and it's a sense of obligation. When a child develops obligation, there's this I need to that grows inside of them. And this I need to becomes a very important part of their ability to manage impulses. It helps in other ways too, to manage desires or things that are going on inside of their hearts, but it also can manage impulses. So this child who says has the I need to inside can learn to grow that I need to in some ways that will help them manage the impulses that they have. So I was working with a 7-year-old boy, and we started working on this I need to, or this obligation. And I drew for him a bar that went up a little bit that said clean the room, and a bigger bar that said play on the iPad. And I said, which one's going to win? He says, oh, the bigger one, the play on the iPad. I said, that's true. But right now, what we're going to work on now, and your parents are going to work on with you, is increasing this other one, the clean the room, because we're going to put on top of that the concept of obligation. And that bar is going to grow in its height, and it's going to help you deal with your urges or your desires. And that became very important for him. In fact, the next week, when his mom called to make an appointment, the boy in the background says, tell Dr. Taransky my obligation is winning over my urge. And that told me several things. One, it told me that he got the idea that I was saying to him. Number two, he had some hope because he saw the progress that he could have by using this sense of obligation in his life. And number three, it told me that he was doing it. He was working on it. And all of those things were great for him. And he really grew, because here's what happens. When you use obligation to balance urge, then there's a tipping point that takes place, and the I need to helps. So when I was working with another child with math, he's having trouble focusing. And so we said, okay, we identified that one of the challenges is when he starts looking up, he gets distracted. So we determined that while he was working for periods of time, he would keep his eyes focused on the paper. The second thing is the pencil would distract him. And so we identified another obligation. I need to keep my pencil right at the corner, the tip, on the top of the corner of my page until I'm ready to use it. So it was able then to corral some of these things for him. And with some therapy, that is home therapy, with parents working on homework and working on these other things, we were able to increase this whole idea of obligations. Very powerful, I believe. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, for the Spirit of God does not make us timid, but gives us power and love and self-discipline. So that self-discipline we work on with children, the sense of obligation, can go huge distance, because these children often are plagued by correction every time you turn around because they're doing something wrong. But if we can work on training and we can help them develop something like obligation, great things can happen inside of their hearts.